Will the clerk please distribute the amendment? Without objection, we will dispense with the reading of the amendment. The chair recognizes Mr. Thornberry for the purposes of explaining his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll bet every single member of this committee has fussed at one time or another about DOD spending tons of money before the end of the fiscal year, so before they lose it. That use it or lose it problem. Operations and maintenance money is one-year money. So if it's not spent by September 30th, they lose it. And so what is natural for human beings to do? It's to spend everything they can think of in September, or else they don't, it's gone. And so without maybe the deliberation and consideration that it deserves. O&M is I think the biggest part of the defense budget. And if you look at the percentage of O&M money that is spent in September, it's an enormous share. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to say, okay, 50% of what you don't spend, you can hold over to another year. Now, by the way, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Housing and Urban Development have that authority with the 100+ agencies that are under them. So you don't get to spend it all, but you can spend half of it in another year so that you reduce the pressure to use it or lose it. Unfortunately, this amendment has been referred to the Appropriations Committee that will not waive. So I'm not going to be able to pursue it in the committee. I may well try to pursue it on the floor. But I just want to take a moment to highlight to everybody, we can fuss and complain all we want about DOD not spending money efficiently, but here the problem is us. And as a Congress, we can fix it if we just will. And we cannot let territorial parochialism prevent a fix that is working in other departments and that would make such a difference. By the way, I have a companion measure that says if DOD has some money that they can't spend, then they can come to us and put it into shipbuilding or facility sustainment. The problem is now, if they say we're never going to spend this money, then it goes back to the Treasury, they lose it, so they just leave it sitting there year after year after year after year. Again, we're part of the problem. We're not giving them an out. These are both things that DOD has requested, but it gets into committee jurisdictional issues. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I can't proceed at this point, but I hope that as a Congress we can deal with these issues, and I withdraw the amendment at this point.
Hey, I have an enormous amount of sympathy for what the gentleman had to say, and would look forward to working with you, because I do think that's a significant problem, and it absolutely happens. It is not just an old folk tale that, sorry, it's complicated between the glasses and the mask here. So I think it's really important that we consider this. People absolutely spend money because they know they'll get less next year if they don't. But the gentleman has withdrawn the amendment. So I'm sorry, Mr. Cook, the amendment has been withdrawn, but did you wish to speak on something else?
Yes, sir. I think everyone in this room who's been a military commander is guilty of this. We've all done it. And you say to yourself, well, maybe it's cynicism. Somebody else is going to misspend the money. Let's go ahead and do it. It's actually criminal. When I think about it, I'll probably burn in hell for doing this repeatedly. I shouldn't. And General, stop laughing over there. You probably did the same thing too. But there's certain things that it's too bad we couldn't capture from. I'm leaving here. But there's a lot of people here, and this is, as I said, something that we've got to correct. It's been around since, God, I retired from the Marine Corps in 1992. Let's see. Some of you weren't born then, probably, but it's been going on. It's never been fixed. And maybe we ought to get a tape of this and send it over to the Appropriations Committee and say, do something about it. This is criminal. and it's wrong. So I obviously support it, and I just hope we don't forget about it.
Thank you. If I had the power, Mr. Cook, I would absolve you. But I do not, unfortunately. The amendment has been withdrawn, but I will, Mr. Moulton, I believe, has a comment, so I will recognize Mr. Moulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, as someone who is on the other side of the aisle, but also a Marine veteran, though I wasn't yet in high school in 1992.
You were born, however. So
I just want to offer my support for Mr. Thornberry's amendment as well.
Thank you. We'll try to work on something on the floor and work with the Appropriations Committee on that process. If there are no further amendments, the chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Garamendi, for the purposes of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move the mark.
Questions on the motion of the gentleman from California? So many as in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.